What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy New Year's. I hope you guys had a happy and safe holidays. We're going to get into a couple of baits that have been catching me fish over the last month. Got him. But before we get into it, I want you to take a second, comment down below right now if you've been out fishing, what you've been catching fish on. So I've tried everything from A-rigs to glide baits, jerk baits, blade baits, throwing Demiki rigs, dragging a drop shot, dragging a jig, everything for the most part. So here in Virginia, we've gotten a lot of rain over the last month, and it's made quite a few fisheries around me that I'm normally fishing just muddy, really muddy and cold, like dropping 10 degrees over the course of a week of rain, and it's completely shut the bite off. Now I started branching out and fishing other lakes that I know will typically stay cleaner even if we had a ton of rain, and that's helped quite a bit. Having cold, muddy water is the worst possible thing to fish in the winter, in my experience. I haven't figured out how to catch them in 40 to 45 degrees when you have an inch of visibility. It's just ridiculously tough. So we're gonna jump into these baits, and first we're gonna go over this little teeny tiny 3-inch swim bait. This is a Kitech Easy Shiner. Wanted to downsize one day. I was throwing a 3.8 and then I switched to a 3.3, and I recently put in an order at ACM Tackle and got like a ton of Kitechs because I knew the A-rig bite was going to start turning on and I needed some, but I threw some of these tiny 3-inch Easy Shiners in there and I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do with it. I was thinking of maybe putting it on top of the A-rig as teasers, and I decided to pick up a little 1/8 ounce owner jig head and throw it around on this thing. And if you guys have watched this channel a bit, you know that I throw these pretty much all year long. I really like the owner jig heads too. The bait keeper on here is actually really good, and you can rig it up in a way where it really will stay there until the bait is completely torn up. It takes a little bit of practice though. That's how I like to rig that bad boy up. But generally I'm fishing this on a 7-foot to 7.3 medium light to medium spinning rod, 15-pound braid to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, and you can definitely downsize there as well. Most of the fish that I'm targeting with this setup are going to be on like points, secondary points, bluff walls, and cover, like any sort of big trees that are coming off of these areas. And obviously if I see any big schools of bait, which is something you will see a lot of in the winter if you get out fishing, or hopefully you will see a lot of it, the fish will actually use these giant bait balls as cover. Like they'll just sit under them, they'll sit in them, on top of them, and if you pay attention to your graph, whether you have live scope or not, just throw the 2D on, like you can see it. You can see the speckled bait everywhere, and then you can see those big arches on top, in it, and beneath. But this little bait, I think if they don't want something big and they're not really chasing an A-rig or they're turned off by an A-rig, this little thing has been very, very surprising. So the beauty of it is that you can fish it way up high in the water column. So if you're finding fish in 1 to 3 feet or down in 20 feet, it takes a second to get down there, but that's also why I'm fishing that 1/8. It gets down a bit quicker than you'd think. And when it comes to fishing a small swim bait, most guys I think are going to lean towards the swing impact, which is another reason that I wanted to throw the Easy Shiner around a bunch. I think it just gives a slightly different profile and different action than a swing impact, and it's been getting me bites. So I've continued to throw it around quite a bit. It'll catch a little bit of everything. You know, you'll run into crappie, striper, largemouth, smallmouth. It doesn't matter. Whatever's in the lake is not afraid to eat this. Camera's not even on. Throwing this little 3-inch Kitech on a 1/8 ounce owner. I'm kind of following that big school of fish around, and that fish that I just caught, he shot up off the bottom to eat it. Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah. That's a solid one. What a football.
deeper. He was like 15 feet. There's a little piece of cover down there too. Oh, that's a 5 all day, baby. Oh, yeah.
So before we get into the next bait and a couple more catches, let's get into the boat of the week, sponsored by Angler's Choice. So this week we're taking a look at a 2022 Ranger Z185. So this Ranger's got an 18-foot, 8-inch hull. It's got a beautiful colorway on it, powered by a 150 horsepower Mercury Pro XS. Up on the bow, you've got a Minn Kota Edge 70-pound thrust, which is a 24 volt. You've got 2 graphs on this boat. At the console, you're looking at a Lowrance Hook 7SS, and up on the bow, you've got a Lowrance Elite 7. This is a perfect entry-level boat, an absolutely beautiful Ranger. You're going to be able to zip around on this thing pretty good. If you guys have any interest in this boat of the week, please click that link down in the description below, or you can reach out to me directly at strigglebrothersfishing@gmail.com, and I'll set you up with one of the sales team members over at Angler's Choice. Now, before we get back into the video, there's a couple things I need to go over. One, we have open house at Angler's Choice. There's going to be 3 locations. You have Lexington, Martinsville, and then Spindale. It's going to be a great time. I'll be there for the whole weekend. There's going to be a ton of pros there. You'll be able to walk around their showroom and see all the boats, and they have one of the best tackle shops that I've ever been to in my life. Besides that, Angler's Choice also has the Mercury repower going on, so if you are looking for a new Mercury motor, they are waiving the install fee for that, which can be thousands of savings there. Angler's Choice is also a one-stop shop for consignment boats, so if you're looking to have your boat sold, you can literally tell Angler's Choice how much you want for the boat, drop it off with them, and that's it. They'll handle everything. Last but not least, they have crazy price cuts going on right now for 2023 models, so you're looking at savings from $2,000 to $20,000 on 2023 Rangers, $3,000 to $15,000 on 23 Nitros, $2,000 to $6,000 on Sun Trackers, $2,000 to $4,000 on 23 Trackers, and $5,000 to $11,000 on 2023 Tritons. So if you're in the market for a 2023, go save yourself some money over at Angler's Choice. Huge thanks again for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. Don't be afraid of the little swim bait. It's so tiny. So besides that, I've been catching a couple decent fish on the jerk baits. So these are the 2 jerk baits in particular that I've been catching fish on. Both are Megabass 110 plus ones, and just a little bit different color selection here. So this is the M Shad. It's got a bit more of a silvery side, a bit more flash to it, olive back, pearl belly, a little bit of purple chartreuse. Looks great when it's sunny out. This is like one of my favorite baits to throw when the sun's shining and there's fish up a little bit higher in the water column. I like to be able to give them a little bit of flash, and this one has never done me wrong. Now, when you have a bit more overcast conditions, that's when I like to go with the French Pearl. It's just an all-white, and on the belly you've got a little bit of chartreuse there. There's some glitter mixed into, which is going to help. And again, you can throw this when it's sunny, you can throw this when it's cloudy. These are just the conditions that I've been catching fish on with these 2 particular colors, but 2 great options. If you have like super clean water, I'd opt for something a little bit more translucent than either of these, but you could still catch fish on these in super clean water. The water that I've been fishing, because of all the rain, even in the cleaner bodies of water that I've been fishing, is still slightly stained. So we're talking like 3 to 6 feet of viz. I'm also looking for fish that are suspended, obviously with live scope. Even if you don't have live scope, you will have fish come up and eat this jerkbait. Fish it on main lake points, fish it around deep laydowns, bluff walls, secondary points, anywhere you see bait. Typically I'm going to be using a rod that's 6'9" to 7'2". I've been throwing a medium action rod and something that has like a medium power to it. I don't want a rod that's too stiff, because when you're twitching the bait, fish comes up and hits it or just pecks at it real quick and they get like one hook. A lot of the times you're going to rip the hook out of that fish's mouth. Preferably, I love a rod that has like a medium, slow-ish action rod, a bit parabolic, but still has kind of a semi-fast tip to it, so when you're twitching it, you know that the bait is actually doing what you want it to do, and you don't need to like rip the whole rod to really get these things moving. I fish it on 8-pound test and a high-speed gear ratio, like 8-to-1, and I've had no issues. My first fish of the year came on this beauty right here. Actually, on the previous cast, I had him follow this little easy shiner for like 40 feet.
Got him. That feels big. Don't be a cat. Don't be a cat. I'll let her cool herself down a little bit. She looked good. Got her. It's probably a 5 though.
That same fish I made a cast to with the 3-inch easy shiner, and he followed it for like 40 feet, and I felt him nip at it, but he must have just grabbed the tail. So it seems like the pause with that jerkbait is what got that fish, just being able to let it sit there and suspend. So
Well, that was stupid.
those are my 2 top producing baits right now, and I guarantee you these are going to keep producing for the next couple months. So if you're not already throwing a little tiny swim bait and a jerk bait, make sure that you give it a shot next time you're out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you catch some big fish to start the year off. Please hit that subscribe button for me. See you on the next one.
Don't be a cat. Don't be a cat.